how do you distinguish between all these bangs?
Oh, yeah. Okay, we are live.
Are you ready? Are you got it on?
Yes, we got you.
2 minutes, she said.
Everything. I know I should not. Put it that way. You got a haircut, didn't you?
Not a haircut. Tried to make it a color, has none, and it's off color, but that's all right. I don't like the fact that when I'm on Zoom, I look like I don't have a top of the head.
Oh.
Oh, just brainless.
For some interesting pictures.
It does. Like the wall, it reminds
I do like that purple wall too.
Brandon, their apartment. I like that lavender color.
Purple's my favorite. I was like, oh, I have to work here. I mean, I was already hired the first time I walked in, but I was like, yay. Because I did my interview in Warrensburg, so I didn't think we can start.
Yes, okay. All right. I'd like to call this October meeting of the Trails Library Board of Trustees to order. Could we begin with roll call, please? Can you all hear on the?
I can hear you.
Carlin?
Yeah.
Carlin, can you hear us? Okay, Mike?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, Chris.
Here.
Jane. Here. Becky. Here. Patty.
Here.
Goldie. Here. Dan.
Here.
Carlin.
Here.
Paul.
Here.
Mike.
Here.
Deanna.
She will not be here.
Okay, let's start with public comments. Jenny, would you like to?
I just stand up. Is that okay? Okay. Hello, everyone. It's nice to meet you. I'm Jenny. I am the Quarter Branch Manager. I've been here for 6 months now and like 1 week or 2 weeks, something like that. I'm very excited to be part of the team. I am enjoying it a lot. I obviously don't know a ton of the history of Quarter, but I feel like the library is very lively and alive, and it's really exciting. We got 2 of my favorite new programs. We started a Monday Melodies program for toddlers, and so we've got about 5 families that kind of come. Toddlers are a little tricky, but they bring their little ones and they play with Legos, and their moms are like, oh, I'm sorry. I said, nope, it's fine. Let them, as long as they're singing, once we get to the jumping songs, then they're doing stuff. But it's just fun. I know that interaction for kids and moms is a little tricky. So I'm really excited to have that on Monday mornings. And we've also started a chair yoga program on Fridays. We were going to just do yoga, but I know that, we've been talking in our meetings about how elderly people are kind of a big focus currently in the library systems, and they need things to do and places to go and activities to keep them healthy. And so they said, can we do chair yoga? Definitely. So we've got 4 to 6 women that are coming consistently on the last couple of Fridays. So we're excited. And as our marketing team does Facebook posts, we have people going, when is this? And so we're hoping to get a few more people involved as well. So, and our story time on Wednesdays is still active and going. And April, our programmer, does a fantastic job there as well. Summer reading was fun. We had dinosaurs and animal wonders. I had a tarantula on my head and held the alligator. Just the best picture opportunities. So very much fun. The kids loved it. And it's just been really fun. I am enjoying it. And one of the things that I wanted to share with you all as a new person that's been here for 6 months is that I am really enjoying the work environment that Jackie and Susan have created. I've told them this several times how thankful I am. I've had some troublesome, hard work environments and cultures, and they have really created something that's fun to be a part of. And it was easy to slip in and feel supported and be like, I can ask questions, make mistakes, I can learn in a really great environment and share ideas. And one of the things that we're doing, I don't know if y'all know that we're doing this yet, is we're going to go as managers over this. He was the keynote speaker at the end of the MLA conference and talked about closing the trust gap. And it was really neat to listen to him talk and just think like, oh, I don't feel like there's a trust gap where I work. And I know that that's not always been the case, and, you know, may not always be the case. Little things pop up here and there, but I just really enjoyed it. And so thanks for being part of our board and supporting us. It definitely trickles down. The support is felt, and I really like being part of Trails, and I'm excited to see how my future here unfolds. And Porter and our little library, I think, is a really important staple here in the community. I really enjoy it. We had some girls that used to come, but they had to move, but they came back to visit, and they had their dad bring them here to come and say hello. And that's just really important that we get to make a difference in the lives of our patrons, young, old, and in between. So thank you. That's what I kind of have to share. I'm not really exactly sure what I'm supposed to share, but that's what I kind of had on my on my mind and on my heart. And just a big thank you for taking your time, to support us and make sure that things are going well. I am new to the library world. I'm actually a middle school math teacher at the beginning of my career for a really long time in Texas, and so I love it. I really do. So the library world is a little less stressful than the teaching world currently, but I am enjoying it. So thanks for being a part of that. I appreciate it. Do I take questions? Yeah. Y'all have anything that you would like me to share or report on that
Do you get a lot of people from Higginsville?
We do. We really do. And I have a really good, I feel like I have a good relationship with the Higginsville Library as well. I'm enjoying that. I have a 9-month-old daughter, and so on Thursdays when the quarter library is closed, I take her over there to their story time. And so we've got a good relationship with them, and they come over and can borrow Trails books for their patrons and things. And so, but yeah, we do have people come over, and absolutely, like when we had the dinosaur people come, that was a big draw for Show Me Dinosaurs. That's what it was. But yes, most definitely. And I have 4 nephews that go to school in Higginsville, and so they're like, "Oh, Jen's gonna have dinosaurs at the library," And so word spreads around, and I get excited and tell all of my friends to bring their kids as well. So we do have quite a few families that patron both places. But it's really exciting. I enjoy it a lot.
Thank you.
Oh, yes. Thank you all so much.
Thank you for letting us be here. Thank you for your,
Of course.
for your work and for all your information.
Yes, no problem. Thank you. Happy meeting time.
We'll do our best.
I know. Oh,
And
okay.
then
Gotcha.
Laura would be the.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. All right. The first thing on our agenda is the consent agenda. Does anybody have any questions or comments before we? Anybody? Do I hear a motion?
I move to accept the consent agenda.
Second? I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to accept the consent agenda. Any discussion? All right, let's vote, please.
Chris?
Yes.
Jane? Yes.
Yes.
Patty? Yes. Dan?
Yes.
Yes.
Paul? Mike?
Yes.
Paul, I believe you're on mute.
I apologize. That was a yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, motion carried. The consent agenda is approved. All right. Our unfinished business, it will be Laura. She's going to present the 2024 audit results. Yeah,
Can I
so
sit here? Is that okay?
You can, I think that would be okay.
See me?
My stuff
Good
on
to
your
come
right.
back again. Seen new faces, a lot of new faces since the last year. So you should have all received a copy this year and plenty of time to look it over. I know we had a little trouble with that last year, but if you have questions, because I'm going to make this pretty brief, if you go to page 1 or have looked at page 1, your opinion was a clean opinion this year, which means we had no significant issues. And what that means is that your financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects. I always try to point that out because in an audit, we use statistical calculations to come up with what is material. So we're not looking at a dollar, we're looking at, significant, but your opinion is clean. Then the other thing I would point out, because the last few years, they've changed the auditor's report, and the opinion used to be at the very, very end, kind of buried. Now they've got it, front and center, which is great. But the other thing they've had us do is delineate your responsibilities and delineate our responsibilities. So I'm not going to go through this, but at the bottom is management's responsibilities. And in a small board like this, a small government organization, I would think that also falls to the board's responsibilities, kind of read that intertwined. And then on the next page, it kind of explains what our responsibilities are to find errors, to find fraudulent acts. But what I like to point out in the last few years is important for people to understand is the bulleted items. So if you see, we as auditors, these are the things we're ethically required to do. We have to keep professional judgment and professional skepticism. So even though I've audited the library for more years than I would like to say, and have worked with Karen, let's just use Karen because she's the one that's been there the longest time, I still have to look at with a questioning mind and ask for evidence and things like that. So I can't just assume that everything's going to be okay because it was okay last year. And then what we do is we look at your whole financial statements and we assess where the risk areas are. And that's where we try to focus more of our time and more of our efforts. So at the library, really your cash basis, your financial statements are cash basis. So your balance sheet, if you're an accounting knowledge person, your balance sheet's pretty basic. It's cash, and your cash is not investments in a lot of crazy things, stocks or things, it's just cash. But where we focus, and your revenue is property taxes, and that's pretty easy. What we do with property taxes is we contact the Johnson County Collector and the Lafayette County Collector, and they give us a letter that says how much your property taxes are, and we make sure that kind of all matches up. But your big risk area is in expenses, and that's where sometimes I've kind of beat that a little harder than we would in another audit, especially through these years of transition, because, as you think back, Karen Hicklin retired, and I don't know if any of you were on the board when she retired, but when Karen Hicklin retired, Carlin maybe was, she had been here many years. No. But after she retired, we went through quite a few years of transition with new directors and new staff. And again, Karen and probably Anita are the two that are kind of left through all those years. So in my mind, expenses and getting control over paying our bills and paying our invoices has been a key. So that's what I wanted to point out there. The rest of the audit are numbers from 3 months ago. I'm trying to move us to Christmas, aren't I? But 3 months ago. So I don't think we need to go over any of that. Maybe the one piece I'll point to in the footnotes, the first couple of pages are just explanatory things that we have to put in there that's kind of required by auditing and by accounting standards. But I would look at page, I'm trying to get there. the fund balance, page 12. So under note F, net position fund balance, this is kind of providing information to the public of why you're holding fund balance, why you're holding money. And so the non-spendable would be as if someone had given you an endowment and said, you can't spend the principal, you can only spend the interest. Well, you really don't have any true endowments. The restricted money primarily, well, really only is in the designated gift funds. And those two that we call restricted are the Glazebrook money and the Martin money. And those were because their instruments said they must be used. Some of the others are designated for like the Lexington branch or whatever, but I think back through the years, it was determined, I think that was even before I came in as auditor, that they weren't truly just restricted to that branch, even though it's designated to that branch. So that's what the restricted is. The committed funds are where the board acts to put money aside. So this year, the board decided to move money from the designated gifts for the Lexington on this audit for the Lexington, but it didn't get spent. And that money was committed is for the Lexington branch. So that's what shows up there. And then the assigned funds you guys see in the budget every year is primarily where all that comes from, the vehicle replacement, the debt, and the development reserve. But I just kind of like to point that out so you guys can think about that, because your money's not just all sitting there free. And then on the next page, I guess I would point out under tax abatements, in the past, we've had a large tax abatement. Tax abatements are where the county primarily acts to let part of your property taxes go to a project where you don't get the money. And so probably 10 years ago, the Governmental Auditing Standards Board said we ought to report this in our financial statements so the public knows how much is going. And in the past, you've had the Associated Electric Cooperative out by Holden had a huge, I would say huge, but we'll just say a large abatement, and that expired. And so this year, your property taxes did go up, and I think it was because that had expired. It's been kind of complicated. Some of my other clients didn't get the bump you guys did, so they must have calculated you better. But that's really it in the audit. In every year for at least 5 years, probably way more than that, we've had a recommendation letter in there and a communication of what we call deficiencies. This year, I felt confident in taking it out, and the reason that it's been in there was on, again, the expenses and the expenditures. That a lot of things that were being paid without some administrative person approving them first, just because that was, how we could get bills paid and out the door. But I will give Karen compliments that she has kind of backed up, and she won't, even though she's like, I know this bill needs to get paid and I know it needs to go in, she will not pay anything now without an approval. And I think the other person that needs compliments on that is Tessa, because we've had her step in, and I've seen a marked improvement in the financial, how things are coded, how things are recorded. So it was a very, very good year. I had to put some posting because it's been quite a little while since I did this. The two things I noted this year that were weaknesses but weren't big enough to report were we had some late payments, and we also had some things being put on a credit card where they really could have gone through the regular payment process. Jackie and I have talked about it, and she's talked to the staff that were doing that and said, hey, we want to use the regular bill payment process rather than, if we're going somewhere and maybe we're a little late, or we just don't want to mess with getting a purchase order or however you guys do it, that we're going to get that under control. And the same way with those late payments of bills. I know she's addressed that while I was out there. So there's my report. Anybody have questions for me? Okay, that was good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Question, Laura. It's good to see you, by the way. I see you over there.
Oh, Paul, hi.
Hi, Laura. Now, I've seen this before, like with the Johnson County Ambulance District audit, and it's part of the boilerplate structure of the report where it basically says, all right, I'm going to speak about Trails Regional. We're using the accounting method we're supposed to use, and we're not using an accounting method we shouldn't use. And then there's always this, to me, kind of confusing statement that says the one we are using that we're supposed to use and would be wrong if we weren't using it is not a generally accepted accounting method.
Can I
And,
interrupt you, Paul?
Please do.
Generally accepted accounting principles is what everyone's supposed to use. That's why it's called generally accepted. That method would have you do complicated reporting, which would be accruing revenue that you haven't received yet, making sure all your accounts payable are in there, putting your fixed assets, your building structures, the fixtures and all the equipment, the computer equipment, putting that all on the books, calculating, I don't believe it's called depreciation in a government. I think it's called infrastructure or something, but it's complicated. And every one of our small governmental entities have chosen, instead of doing that, to adopt the cash basis method of accounting, which then you record checks as the money goes out the door and revenue as the money comes in the door, and your balance sheet is cash. That's pretty much it. That is something that the Governmental Accounting Standards Board in New York and Washington think is just, not, shouldn't be done, because what will Wall Street think? Well, every small government doesn't need to go to Wall Street with things. So that's why governments choose this. And as an option, they choose the cash basis of accounting. So that's why there's two things in there. It's, yes, you should use this generally accepted accounting principles, but we choose not to because it's good for our organization. Does that help?
Yeah, and if I am understanding you correctly, and maybe I'm not on this point, to use the generally accepted methods, it'd be treating us more like, or we'd be behaving a bit more as if, or being held to the same standards as if we were a for-profit corporation when we're a kind of a nonprofit service. Is that accurate?
No, you would be using governmental accounting principles. So you'd be treating yourselves as the city of Los Angeles, or as the state of New York, or as Kansas City, Missouri. Small governments choose to do the cash basis because of the financial cost of doing it otherwise. Not just the audit cost. The audit cost would probably triple, but the accounting staff you would have to hire would be high-level accounting staff to do that.
Okay, I got it. Now, my next question really falls in the category of so what, but I'm going to ask it anyways. So it must be an interesting decision point when an entity gets to a size where maybe they should use that other means of accounting. And
I think that the library has no need for it, because if you were issuing debt or something, there could be a need if your debt wasn't backed by your property taxes. But any bonding company is going to accept your property taxes, and you don't need to do that. So that's more of a discussion for another day. You guys have other things, I'm sure, to move on to. And any other questions for me?
No, that makes sense, Laura. I was just curious. I thought, boy, I know it's not relevant to us, but I was just thinking that must be a painful place to get when you're a small town and suddenly you got to figure out which method to use, because you could use either.
Right. Okay, thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you.
For coming, and thank you
For all your work that you've done to make sure that we're.
Well, I try. I forgot to say, I have discovered the love of Libby this year. I haven't read for quite a few years because life was busy, and now I'm 60 years old, so I'm one of those old people coming that I've discovered, and I want to thank the library for providing that Libby, the hoopla, the things like you've done, it makes life easier for those busy people like us. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Laura. Okay. Everybody's okay there? All right, we're good. All right, the next, we'll move on to new business. The first order under new business is the City of Odessa, and I think you're here to address that. Update on sidewalk and alley project is what it says.
Come to the hot seat then.
Come to the hot
Come to the hot seat. So I'm Shauna Davis, City Administrator for City of Odessa. This started as we were wanting to come to you guys to see if we could get an easement, a permanent easement, to see if we could put, we needed to, in the alley behind your building in Odessa, we wanted to, we're putting new electric in for our sidewalk project, and we needed to put the junction box where the new electric would come up and, you know, all the buttons and whatever would be there. We thought that was going to need to be placed on your property. And then we realized that the alley's actually wider than we thought. So it'll actually be placed on our own property. So we don't need the easement in the end, but we decided that it would be beneficial to just come to you guys to explain the project and kind of where we are and what's going on, because it's been a very long, drawn out process, and we're kind of sort of getting to the end of it, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we cross the finish line now, what looks like in 2025, we'll be doing that. But the game plan was that we would do Mason Street. We would go out for construction on Mason Street before this winter, and then Second Street would be after the winter, assuming we could hit all of MoDOT's very strenuous deadlines. Unfortunately, we found out last week that we were not able to hit all of MoDOT's very strenuous deadlines. So Mason Street is now going to be under construction after the beginning of next year. So very unfortunate. We tried extremely hard to be able to get that done prior to. There's a lot of benefits that would have been a little bit cheaper, which would have been great for bidding, but and it really shortens our window, because our end all be all goal is that everything's done and finished by the time Puddle Jumpers gets here next year. So that's the goal. But the project itself, it doesn't really affect you guys a whole lot, because your sidewalk is actually new. Because your building is a little bit newer than the rest of the downtown area, but so your sidewalk actually won't be replaced, but everywhere around it will be replaced. The project itself includes complete sidewalk replacement. Everything will be ADA compliant. Yours is already ADA compliant. There'll be a lot of new railings and ramps in the area. It'll be an adjustment for a lot of people, just curb appeal wise. It'll look phenomenal, but there'll be a lot of ramps and a lot of railings. I don't know if you just think about it. Holden. Oh yes, I've gone to Holden and taken pictures of Holden.
Because you're saying railing.
I know.
But they weren't included whenever
I know. That's
okay.
why we have a lot of railings, because Holden didn't have a lot of railings.
It's much needed, yes.
Yes, I was told
We
go
weren't
to
expecting
Holden
the big
and look at
drop-offs
Holden.
and
Yes.
unmarked things and
Yes.
Basically a ramp. Yeah.
I was told to go to Holden and make sure you see what where the railings are now, and make sure we include.
Can you have a spot you got to park and how they bump out? Yes.
We will have bump outs too. So I know you guys don't.
And they
like
do
those, but
help because it slows down traffic.
That's the intent. Yes.
But it is,
100%.
we don't have wide enough parking
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
one of the sides, and it's just,
Yeah.
and we have a bunch of trucks and
Yeah.
larger vehicles and.
So our parking, so that's one part of it too. So there's like three major components of the project. One is complete sidewalk replacement and ADA compliance. One is all new, parking, repavement, All of Mason will be repaved, the street itself. Second Street will be just the parking stalls repaved because the middle is MoDOT. And, obviously the bump outs and everything. And then the third component is the street lights. So we'll get all new street lights. Currently, our street light infrastructure is all overhead, so that'll all come underground. And then we'll have, if you're familiar, the street lights north of the railroad tracks, those are relatively new, and the sidewalks there are relatively new. So we're trying to, get poles that will match what's north of the railroad tracks there. So it'll all be kind of more cohesive, but they're a lot nicer poles than obviously what we have today. So, so those are the three components of the project. A lot of people don't realize that. We've been referring to it as the downtown sidewalk project for like 5+ years. And then it's like, okay, well, it's actually a lot more than just the sidewalk project. But, yeah, so it's a big project. It's over $2 million now at this point. Yes.
It's grown.
It's grown a little bit, yes. It
So you're
has.
gonna have bump outs on the main drag there?
Yep, so when you come from the north and the south, and then at the four-way, there'll be bump outs, yes. Mhm. And it does help. The main reason is to slow people down when they come in from both sides, to let people know, you're no longer on a state highway or downtown area. Another big component of it too is like right now, when you get to the four-way, the stop signs are off to the side. So like if there's a car or a big truck or a van parked here, the stop sign's way behind it. Now with the bump out, the stop sign will be a lot more visible, so it increases pedestrian safety quite a bit.
I don't notice that because I know you're supposed to stop.
Yeah, most people notice stop, but you'd be surprised how many people don't. Yeah, so we're very excited about it. The goal is just to get it done before Battle Jumpers. That's the main goal. So we're
But
getting there.
you don't need anything from us. You're
Nope,
just, you're
this is
just here
just
to
an
report
update.
and
Yeah.
update us.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's not really going to affect, since we're kind of on the edge,
Yep.
like
The
flow
main-
in and out of our.
The main
parking lot
thing
and
will
things of
just
that
be, the
nature.
main benefit or impact for you guys will be that Mason Street will be completely repaved and new parking spots will be drawn. And you guys have 2 ADA parking spots right in the front there on Mason, so those will still be there because you have a ramp right there, so those will still be there. Yeah, and I think, I can't remember right now, but I think there will, I can't remember. For some reason, my gut is telling me that at the corner of Mason and First, there might be a little bit of construction there to make the crosswalk, just to get across Mason to the, like the side that the event center church is on. So, I'm pretty sure.
Well, we appreciate you coming and updating us, and thank you for letting us know.
We wish you well.
Good luck on your project.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Sounds like you've been working hard, so.
Very much so. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All righty.
Okay, the next thing on our agenda would be the consider approval of the comp leave policy. You should have that in your packet. Anybody have any questions? Anyone?
I have a question about what kind of vote is this? Is it the majority vote? If we
I
presented it,
don't know the answer to that.
Well, you got to approve the comp, you got to
Okay.
approve comp leave, so that's done. It's
Okay,
just You have to
okay.
approve the policy that was.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Yeah, we did approve that at another meeting, that we were going to do it, and then we're approving just the wording and
Wording.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, do I hear a motion?
Madam President, I move that we approve the board policy as it is revised.
We'll hear a second.
Second.
Okay. Motion has been made and seconded that we approve the comp leave policy as revised. Is that what you said? As revised?
That's what I said.
Okay, okay. Any discussion? All right, let's vote, please.
Chris?
Yes.
Yes. Patty?
Yes.
Goldie?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Carlin?
Yes.
Paul?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so motion carried.
That was easy.
All right. The
That
next
was easy.
item.
Whoever made all those corrections. I'm
Yeah,
sure
that,
was
that was easy for the meeting. Yeah. Then we're gonna need to consider approval to set an annual date for the February all-staff training day. We understand that is that February, whatever President's Day is usually a holiday, but you would like to make that, no, not that
No,
day,
that's-
make the following week, the Monday, a official day off for training.
Yes. So
So
years
it's-
ago, it was approved for the library to close for 2 days. That would have been Columbus Day and then President's Day. So one in October, one in February. Well, a few years back, they ended up giving that as a holiday, the President's Day in February. And so we just would like to have a standing one so everybody knows when that's going to be. Staff, board, patrons, that we're just automatically going to be closed like we are for the one in the fall. This past Monday, actually. So,
Okay,
and we
so
picked the fourth Monday of the month.
fourth Monday, okay? Anybody questions or comments, anything? No, okay. Do I hear a motion?
I move we approve the date for an annual February all-staff training day. To be the fourth Monday?
Oh, no.
A couple times.
I'll second. Okay. Motion has been made second that we, set an annual date of the fourth Monday in February for an all-staff training day. Any discussion? Okay. Let's take a vote, please.
Chris?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Becky? Yes. Patty?
Yes.
Goldie?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Carlin?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Okay. Motion carried. All right, now we are moving on to the financial services proposals. I'm not.
And again, I apologize for throwing all that at you at the last minute.
So basically, there's 3 proposals, right?
Mhm.
You want to
Yep, I can
talk
kind of
and
go through it.
you probably can speak more clearly on that than I can.
I'll try. So we ended up with 3 bids, or 3 proposals. So we had the one from our current bank, which is UC, or UMB. I want to say anyway. And then we had one from Bank of Odessa, and then we had one from Equity Bank. And so those are kind of I don't know really what you want me to go over. Because you guys,
I don't know, does anybody have?
did everybody have a chance to review at least the basic? Okay. So as far as for me, as far as my recommendation would be that we stay with the current bank. I mean, we have been very happy with them. This is just part of our policy where we have to go through the process. For me, it would probably be down to Equity and UMB, because the Bank of Odessa, they actually have, was it the securities or whatever that they go through UMB for. So to me, that really wouldn't be a good fit. And again, it's a lot of work to change banks. And again, it would be different if we weren't happy with the bank that we have. I think, Carlin, did you have a question?
Yes. I think Odessa would not be feasible because it's too far away. If you had to go to the bank and do something, that's a long way to travel from where our offices are to Odessa. And
we would have
and-
to do that.
That's a good
Yeah.
point, Carlin.
Exactly. And I think this whole thing came about was we were discussing about the interest that the money was making, that we felt like our reserve money and some of our trust money and stuff could have been making more interest. And that, I think that's how this all came about, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so did UMB did they address any of that or just the checking?
Well, I think they talked about both types of accounts in there.
Okay.
Because that would be the designated gift fund, which is more of like a savings type account.
Right.
Right. But they didn't say if it could make it, they could make any adjustments to it to make more interest.
I've slept since I've read these, so I'm not sure if there's anything specific. Does anybody remember whether they addressed anything specific as far as that goes?
On
Well, they
UMB's
said-
page,
Say that again.
on the UMB document, there's an investment solutions
Yes.
detail about it.
Yes.
I don't know what kind of accounts we have those funds in. But I know that came up a question is why weren't they making more interest than what they were?
I wish we'd have asked the auditor this question while she was here. That would have been helpful. She would have been able to help. But I have talked to the auditor about this back when this first came up. And she said it would depend on, we would have to go through the paperwork because those designated gifts, a lot of them were bequeathed to us. And so we have to legally go by what it says. So some of them you can't invest. It's there for you to spend per their will. Yeah. So we would have to determine which ones that we could move and invest or do something different with than what we are already doing.
So then they would be possibly split between banks.
Yes.
Mhm.
And it's my understanding that organizations like this kind of disappointing because we cannot ever put ourselves in a position where we're risking the principal. So that really limits what sort of return we can get on investment because we're not supposed to even tolerate short-term volatility.
Yeah. And so our hands are kind of tied.
In some ways, yes.
Yeah.
But I think that was what the whole reason was it came up about trying to maybe change accounts was about that investment money. If there was any way we could put it in an account that made more money than what it did, because it really didn't make anything, really.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's a good point because a few years ago, bonds weren't doing much, money markets were horrible. Now you can do pretty well on a money market, better than some bond mutual funds, but you got to pick the right one. And I wonder, if the banks are, it makes sense to shop around because you can get a money market or whatever that doesn't really do very well and one that actually has a pretty good return and you never risk the principal.
Which I don't think we were unhappy with the checking and everything at UMB Bank. We were just concerned about the investments not making any more money than what they were. But I also understand that, our hands are tied of how we can invest it and what kind of accounts we can put it in and, how risky it is.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry, maybe this was already addressed, but did, did Concordia Bank or, F&C just decline to submit a proposal? Or were they asked?
These were the only three that we received. We put it on our website. It was in the paper. And then I also sent a letter and the bid information to all the banks in both counties. So
Okay.
they all got a letter from me with in a packet.
All right, so Concordia and F&C clearly knew this was a option, an opportunity if they wanted to submit a proposal.
Correct.
Yeah, well, I wish they would have. I wonder why they didn't, because they're local regional banks. It would have been nice to work with one of them.
Okay, anybody else?
I want to ask a question. Who could we hire to do a study or to do a review of, like, look at what we have as the ones that are particular that we can't do things? Is there like a company or could the accountant do it where they look at that, look at what's required, and then maybe come to us with a few ideas if we wanted to entertain changes?
So as far as going through the paperwork, that would probably fall to our attorney to review those and let us know, what we can and can't do. And then you would have to go separately to find out maybe what options you would have, depending on what the finding was from him reviewing all the legal paperwork attached to those accounts.
So that's probably a good idea to have the attorney look at the wills and the things and what we could and could not.
Actually, might not, even if we don't make a change, it might not be a bad idea to have some updated information on that. Maybe a review of that.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah.
I would be comfortable with going forward with the review, that portion of it, so that we at least knew what we could start with before we went to check on going out for bids or opening it up to other groups. But,
Okay,
Well,
It may
and
not be-
you're also talking about tax revenue, and there may be regulations about where you can invest it and where you can't. But this,
Well,
I think this all came about was because of just those accounts could have maybe made some more interest. But if we're happy with United Missouri Bank, if you're happy with their checking and everything, I don't really see a reason to change our checking and everything.
would you like to make that a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we stay with United Missouri Bank, and maybe in the future I'll make a motion.
Pick one thing for a motion. If you want to make your motion for one thing, and then we'll go from there.
I'll make the motion that we stay with United Missouri Bank and with our as our bank.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay. Motion has been made and second that we stay with United Missouri Bank as our bank. Any discussion? All right, let's have a vote, please.
Chris?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Becky, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Goldie?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Harlan?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
All right, motion carried. Now, did you want to just make a suggestion? Was that a suggestion, or you want to make a motion, or do you
Well,
want to go from where else with that, Goldie?
I would say let's review this again when it comes up, of how much money and just what to do with it, if there's anything we can do with it.
So before we do bids.
Maybe when we do the audit or something again, we could ask them I don't know. What's your all's thoughts?
What is, I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, what are you suggesting?
Okay. I'm not making a motion yet. I'm
Okay,
suggesting.
you can make a
I got
suggestion.
Well, at
That's
some
what I
point,
think.
don't,
Or we vote
Do
on
anything else.
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Gotcha.
like
Gotcha.
later.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I was thinking like next meeting, and I'm like, what is it in my
no,
DNS?
no.
Okay, I think we're on the same page now.
Yeah, so
I-
you're,
don't at some
she was
point in the year, we get a report on those?
Yes, usually at budget time, you'll get how much is in there. Yeah, in your budget narrative is usually where
Right.
that is. And then you get your financial statement monthly from,
Right.
from both our general fund and our designated gift.
Right. Okay.
Do we need a motion to ask you to look into that before the next time? I don't think we do we?
I mean,
I have
And
it
I
right
was-
here.
I
yeah,
wasn't talking about the next meeting. I'm talking about maybe as we
Yeah,
go
you're
further
talking
through
about
the
in the
year.
future, yeah, as
Yeah.
we move forward.
When we do the next
Yeah.
assessment.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you need a suggestion and
Okay.
once you have information or you get something, you can let us know. Am I understanding you
Yeah.
clearly and you're understanding
Mhm.
clearly what you
I think we're on the same page.
And now, this is gonna make me look really stupid, but did we vote about that motion on the bank? Did we vote?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You know, I was like, yeah, we did. And then when you said that, I was like, well, I'm not sure if we did or not.
I was thinking we got mixed up in
Thank
the
you for keeping
discussion.
us all
Thank you,
straight.
Becky, thank you. Okay, so do we need any more discussion on that point, or are we ready to move forward?
We're ready to move.
Let's
Ready to
move
move.
forward, okay.
Well-
Now,
I had a question. Am I correct
Go
in
ahead.
understanding our options are basically money markets or CDs? Is that right?
I'd have to look more into that, but I know those would be two options for sure if that money was allowed, because depending on what the legal documents say, it may just have to sit there until we use it. In other words, you can't invest it in any way, is how it was explained to me. And so you have to go through all the legal documents to figure out this pot of money, this fund, what we can do with it, or, what this was left for and all of that. So we would have to go through the legal documents to see if it could even be in a money market or a CD of any kind.
Well, yeah, the reason I ask is because you wouldn't endanger the principal. The problem with just letting it sit there without doing anything is that it loses its purchasing power over time. And
Yeah.
it'd be nice if we could do something to counteract that.
Okay.
well, I think that we've established that she's gonna look into some options and
Mhm.
see what it is that we can and can't do, and when she gets some information about that, she'll bring it back to the board, and then we can go from there. Maybe like Carlin said, at audit time or at budget time, or whenever it fits in with what else we're doing. So
Okay.
I think that's where we're at. Okay. All right, next on the agenda is the bylaw committee update. So Goldie, you want to speak to that? Because you're really the only one that knows anything yet.
Okay. What I've done is I've gone, all right, so there are policies in the library policy manual that are board policies. And there's a specific section on bylaws, okay? I've gone through the bylaws. I have looked at some notes that Jackie gave me, plus reviewed some things. And we are going to meet the people who are on the committee and discuss some of the changes. Now, some of the things that we need to think about, and we would take ideas if you want to give them to us, is can we recommend someone not be on the board? Like if someone is not meeting what the requirements are to be on the board.
You mean after they're already on the board?
After they're already on the board. We do not have anything in there that addresses that. If I understand this correctly, I don't think we can actually vote someone off the board because it's commission.
Commission cannot remove someone from your board. They can only appoint them to your board.
Okay.
So you would need something in your bylaws in order to make that happen.
Yeah. And we don't have anything like that. And I don't know that we would necessarily need to, but it is possible. and we don't have a way in order to make that happen. So that's one of the things we're going to be discussing as a committee. And again, if you guys have suggestions about anything to do with that, we would take that. A lot of the things on the bylaws updates are just small little word things that just needed to be updated. There is a thing about changing the bylaws, and currently it says these bylaws may be amended by unanimous vote at any regular meeting when a quorum is present. It also says in the absence of a unanimous vote, such amendments shall be considered passed and enforced by a majority vote at the next regular board meeting. I don't know if I like that personally, because as Jackie also noted, it shouldn't be easy to change a bylaw, right? And I mean, we should vote on whether we change them or not, but so that's something, if you have any thoughts about that, that's one of the things we're going to be discussing. And we're going to come back to you next month with some recommendations that we came up with, and you'll be able to see everything that was changed. It's not a whole lot, and a lot of it is just things like it'll say it's in our appendix. Well, that information is not in the appendix, it is on the website. So it's that type of thing. Anybody have a question? Okay. That was the update. Thank you.
Okay, that sounds good.
And Carlin, we need to decide a time for us, the three of us to meet. It might work better in person, but we also could do it on Zoom. But we'll talk.
Well, yeah. I have been limited in driving because I've been experiencing vertigo. So it is getting better. So hopefully, yes, I can. If not, I can at least find a ride into Warrensburg. Was you going to meet in Warrensburg?
You okay with me?
It's okay. I mean, I live here, so in Warrensburg it's fine. But
Yeah, that's not a problem for me.
yeah, but
Okay.
I'll come and get you.
Well, I can find a ride.
We could go to her.
Yeah, and we can. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll discuss it and we'll figure it out.
All
And
right.
I'm sending you these documents when I get home. I'll email
Okay.
them to you so you know what we're looking at. Okay?
All right.
All right. Sounds
All right.
good.
Thank you, Goldie. I think she's done quite a bit of work. The committee hasn't met yet, but Goldie's been on it. So she's, thank you, Goldie. You've been doing the legwork and getting the pre-work done so that it's not gonna take forever when we have to do
Oh, no, I don't
something.
think it will.
And I had wanted to say something on your thing. It says that the date for the January meeting is in 2024 in February, but it should be 25, just in case somebody looks at that and thinks, what? I just happened to see that and I was like, wait, how can that be?
I usually catch up on what year it is about July.
I know. Well, I just thought, well, maybe somebody would see that and go, what the heck's happening here? Okay, I need, you want to make announcements, or do we just say there's a open house?
Well, and I have one more, so
Okay,
I'll do it if
you
you
go
want me
ahead.
to. So just a reminder of the Holden Branch Open House, Saturday, October 26th at 11 o'clock. And then I also, Tessa had let me know yesterday, we're going to be switching vendors for our workers' comp insurance. The one that we're currently with, they've gone up again. It was going to be close to $14,000. With this new company, it's going to be under 7 something, but under 8. So quite a bit of difference.
Yeah.
So, so I'll have to get the paperwork and everything done with that, but just wanted to let you guys know we were going to be doing that and save a little bit of money.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now I need a motion to move into closed session.
I move to go into closed session.
Second?
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion or objection? Okay, let's vote.
Jean? Yes. Becky, yes. Abby?
Dan?
Yes.
Harlan?
Yes.
Paul?
Paul's muted again.
We can't see him over here.
Are you there, Paul?
Okay, Mike?
Yes.
Paul, did he just?
I don't know, he's muted.
Guys, I can hear you now and I am responding. I was on mute and I goofed up.
Okay. We're asking for your vote on the moving into closed session.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you. All right, motion's carried. We'll
We may need a
Take a
bathroom break
moment
or
to-
anything,
take
because
a
I'm gonna
moment,
have to
yeah, and
close
turn
the
off-
live stream.
turn on, yeah. I don't need a bathroom. Is there any water here? Does anybody see?
There's a water fountain.
Yeah, that'll work. I'll do that.
Fine, okay.